Today's video is to look at a brand new bow that we have here in the shop. This is the PSE Evo XF30. So it is a very short axle to axle bow. It's lightweight as well. I weighed it about 4.2 pounds. Completely bare, no arrow rest put on or anything like that. So I'm excited about getting this thing set up. One thing in particular that's new with these bows for 2022, there's two that have this type of cable guard system that we've seen. They are both XF bows. There could be some others, but those are ones that I've seen. So the video today is going to get into breaking down the cable guard system so that you can remove the factory carbon rod that's there and replace it with one of our titanium rods. Now, of course, we are going to be working on a replacement component for this part, but that's yet to come. So for the time being, I'd like to show you how this will work, everything you'll need as far as tools, and go through step by step. So when you have a bow, you want to do any kind of work on, I always recommend this. It's really important to get the bow securely held in place. I have it in a vise. I have wood blocks against the limb pockets so that you're not going to have any kind of marring on that. It holds it really tight. That's just my advice when you do any kind of work, get it held securely first. So we'll do the first thing here. The first thing we'll actually look at will be the cable slide. So this is the VibraCheck slide that PSE gives you with all their bows. FYI, we are going to be launching ours really soon. It's coming up soon, the titanium framed version. I know you guys have seen in different videos, but that's going to be about 5 or 6 weeks out yet. So first thing you'll do is release the tension from the cables. And people often ask me, do you have to be in a bow press for this? Does it require any kind of special tools? No, it doesn't. Just have the bow held securely, and then literally you'll press in against these cables with your thumb so you can press them off of the rollers. It's really simple to pop them off. Once they're off, of course, then the cable slide is free, and you can take that off. Now this new design that they have on this fitting against the riser here, it interlocks and it has adjustability in and out, which is a nice feature. It uses a 1/8 inch drive, 1/8 inch Allen head drive screw on the top here. So I have a socket wrench because that's really the best tool to use in this situation. Gives you the ability to quickly and easily make adjustments, loosen things, tighten things, and it gives you more torque than like a T-handle of this type would. But this is good for getting the screw out the rest of the way. So once that screw is popped free, then you'll have a small washer on it, and just be sure to keep that screw for later use. Now we've gotten to the point where you can see what the fitting part looks like. You can see it has 2 screw holes. You can choose either one. It gives you a different amount of lateral movement. But what we need to do is figure out, how do you get this out of here? Well, there's a really pretty simple method when it comes to adhesives. Up to a certain temperature, they'll generally hold really well. But once you exceed that temperature for a period of time, the adhesive will break down. And it will allow for something like this to be rotated back and pulled back out of the part. So what we'll do is take the bow out of the vise. We're going to place this rod in the vise instead. And then I'm going to be heating this part with a heat gun. So heat gun is key. This is a really important tool to use in this process. Don't use a torch. Something like this propane torch over here, while it would accomplish more or less the same thing and probably a little more quickly, what it would do as well is it would mar this aluminum rather. This is anodized. And once you get above a certain temperature, it will tend to discolor. And if you get too hot, it can even affect the strength properties of it. So what we're going to do is go to 500 degrees. Now I've verified that it's about 6.5 setting when it's turned all the way to high speed air. This heat gun goes around 500 to 525. So that'll be pretty ideal for what I want to do. So I'm actually going to crank down on the carbon rod portion, heat this up over here. I don't want to heat too close to the edge of the carbon rod because then you can actually cause that to weaken too quickly. And then that would even bend and not allow for the adhesive to break down and allow me to pull it back out. It might cause this to just break, the rod itself to just break. So we'll put it out here far enough that I have good access to it. and then we'll heat it up. It'll probably take 30 seconds to a minute of heat. Don't have it to an exact science on time, but you'll know based on if you've not heated it long enough and you try to pull the thing off of there, you try to pull the rod out and it's not moving, and it's going to require a little more time. So get this thing fired up, and then I'll be heating primarily about 1/2 inch from the edge of the opening and back. Heating that area, working my way around it to the point that I know it's hot enough. Okay, so I've been heating it a bit here, and I definitely think you're going to be looking at probably more like a minute. And then I'll be taking this out of here in a second and flipping it around, clamping down on just the aluminum. And we'll see at this point if it's gotten to the point where it's hot enough that we can get any movement out of it. Now again, I'm clamping down just on the aluminum. This part actually is really well suited to that because it has a section that sticks out and fits in nicely right there. Now, of course, I can just grab a hold of it with pliers or something like that. This is going to damage the rod. Just so you know, you're going to be damaging your carbon rod. Now look, it's pulling back out. The adhesive was hot enough, and I think we just about have it out. We do. Out. So, as you can see, it was bonded in there very nicely, but this adhesive cannot handle that much heat and it breaks down. Now this is a still very hot part. I can feel the heat rising from it. I don't have anything to grab onto it with. I don't want to do the pliers because that'll mar the finish. So what you want to do is allow this to cool. Maybe have a glove nearby, grab it, take it to some water, quench the material with water, and then you can bring it back and work on it again if you need to. Okay, so we're back now after having cooled this part down. I ran it in some water and it is totally at room temperature at this point. So we can now determine what we're going to do as far as replacing the cable guard rod that was used. Now, obviously, we advocate strongly that you put in a titanium piece because these are clearly a better option than the carbon fiber. Now, some people out there like to use like a stainless steel rod, a solid one. But if you'll examine closely the benefits between the titanium tube and the stainless steel rods that are out there, it's not just about weight. It's also about the consistency and how they perform. You'll find this is a better choice. So the part, I cleaned it out, and that's important. You're going to want to do that. So the inside of it is relatively cleaned out at this point. I cleaned it with acetone. So I recommend you use a Q-tip and put acetone on there, clean the inside. You can also see a little bit on the outside here, some residue from when they applied the epoxy. And it was a little bit sloppy. So that's actually bonded onto the brim. Not really a problem though, but you can see that is there. So it's cleaned out, it's cooled down. And now we can figure out, well, will one of these tubes even fit? So let's try. Will it fit inside? And let's give it a shot. So let's put the black anodized titanium tube, rotate and push, and that's all the way in. So this is the same tube that we use for the Mach 1. And it's the exact right size you need for this. It gives you the right amount of open space so that you have your cable slide travel. Now, can we pull it back out? Let's find out. Yes, pulls right back out. I will say that this would not work if you were using the gray titanium that we have, because that does tend to be about 1 to 2 thousandths of an inch larger in outer diameter than this. This black titanium is very consistent in outer diameter, so it works. But before I would finish, and before I would bond this back in place, I'd want to acetone the surface of this. I would acetone the surface of the inside of the coupler again, then apply the adhesive to the inside of here, press this back in, rotate it all the way down. And then you could let that sit, depending on what kind of adhesive you're using, would be about a 24-hour cure in most cases to get a full bond, complete bond. Now I will say, given how tight this fits, you're not going to need much adhesive, and it is going to bond extremely well. There's not going to be any play in this. And you probably wouldn't have to wait the full 24 hours either because of how tight this is. So I'll get it back on the bow here in a bit, and I'll get it all completely assembled and put our cable slide, the prototype titanium version that we have, on, and get this bow shooting tuned up really soon, hopefully, so I can give you an idea of just how well all this works together. But this is a DIY project. you certainly can do this yourself. And you can then add a better aftermarket part like we offer. So thanks for tuning in. Go to the website for everything you need as far as information on our products. There's a great deal of very detailed info on every single product we offer. If you have questions, call us Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 717-814-9169. Thanks again, and stay tapped out.